the signals, goes back to throw. Now looks to take off and run. Elway inside the 10 and dives over the 5-yard line. Great play. Great play by John Elway. Just phenomenal.
Check swing roller. Tulowitzki. Colorado's the National League champion.
Jokic has to put it up. Falling away, puts it up. Bang! Nikola Jokic knocks it down. His foot was on the line. A two-pointer. What a shot.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Talkin BS. I am your host, Steven Zamora. You can follow me on Twitter at ZamoraBSB. This week we had a pretty good week, Nuggets Nation. Just got done watching the Pistons game. Jamal Murray had a great game. Peyton Watson had a great game. Nikola Jokic had a weird game. Great game, of course. Ends up with 4 points, but 16 assists and 5 blocks. I think he just kind of goes with the flow of the game. So, you know, it is what it is. That's what he ends up doing. Somebody tweeted like he does not care about the MVP. It's obvious, but, you know, it's the Pistons. So what are you going to do? If you can, please go and like the channel. It'll help me a ton. Helps with the algorithm, of course. And if you end up liking the show, you know, go ahead and subscribe because I'm bringing you content like this every week. Plan on doing even more shows and doing more things. But in order to do that, I got to get the channel a little bit bigger and, you know, just help the boy out, you know, give some support. I'm out here putting in work for you guys. So, you know, I would appreciate the love. With that said, here's some work I put in for you guys as well. Clips of the week for you guys.
Now Murray to Jokic. Volleyballs it over to Watson. Off the bench for three. Got it. A little bit. He got hooked on that roll a little bit. Pick and roll. Alley-oop to Zeke. Haven't seen a whole lot of that. Getting the smart start tonight. Has 6 points. LaMelo Ball has missed 15 games as Reggie Jackson knocks it in. Good trade. Porter. Got it. Design play down. 10 to shoot. Down the middle. Jokic on the board. His first shot, his first make. Let's bring in Vic.
Fellas, the Nuggets have a simple mantra as we watch them all stop and pop and get more.
Call it, Vic.
Sorry about that. Couldn't get ahead of myself, Marlo.
Not a surprise. Reggie Jackson got Peyton Watson straight away through. Yes.
And notice one thing in the second rotation, I told you a while ago they were keeping starters in.
To Stephen Curry, 15 years apart in age. As Jamal Murray coming out of timeout hits a jumper and a badly needed jump shot. Nuggets' biggest lead tonight was 10 points. Here's Gordon in the corner, and here come the Nuggets. Corner three from Aaron Gordon. We're trailing by 18. Jokic kicks it, three-pointer flies. Porter short. Gordon with the putback. Impressive.
At the end of close games.
Four-year player at IU in Indiana. Here is Watson, sticks it. Big shot for Peyton Watson.
And can guards out on the perimeter.
Jokic from Murray. Oh, he leaves it for Gordon. The lob from Jokic. On the floor for Golden State. Got the Splash Brothers with Paul, who's going to fire the three. Missed it. Saric. Offensive board, lost the handle. Watson's got it.
Very interesting.
Caldwell Pope on Curry. Now Jokic. And Murray with the steal. Jokic has it. Clock ticks. Got to put one up. Jokic for the win. It's good. Jokic got it off in time, and the Nuggets win it.
Magic played Wednesday night up in Sacramento, lost in double overtime. Now Porter cranks a three. He's got it. And timeout called by Jamal Mosley. Murray in the lanes. Now Porter gets it. And he nails it.
It was a long way around, but it touched everybody's hand.
Porter going to pull the trigger here, maybe, if he gets it back.
Joker.
Jokic has it. He's away. And 11 points for Nikola Jokic.
And you got to know know your own personnel, right?
Yeah. KYP. Hey, Porter steals it from Banchero. They hedge. Starts to miss that one. Good save. Long pass. Murray's really going to hustle. He's got it, and he lays it in. Murray's lead, precarious 5 points. Underneath, Watson the dunk.
He's learning, right?
On the job. Long range, Christian Brown.
Watson hammers it home. That got this crowd up, too. Let's see if you get a stop to follow it.
1:15 to go. Nuggets down by 2. Jokic has it. Jokic in the lane under the board. Now he puts it away.
Just like, maybe the travel and everything is just wore them out.
Now Cunningham guarded by Murray. Cunningham, pretty good three-point shooter these days. Off balance, and Murray blocks it out of bounds. Watson's been playing well lately. Thursday had 19 points in the Warriors. Murray lets it go. Got it! Sarah Thompson come off the bench in 6 straight games. Single digits, and the dunk is good as Murray now with 14. Sitting on 20 points, going to crank it up again. Here he goes. Against Knox. Called back. Baby!
Bogdanovich, stay out there.
61-57. Murray in the lane. Got it again. 10 on the shot clock. Murray slip it to Jokic. Give it to Gordon. Back to Jokic. And he drops it in. 11 points. 11-point advantage for the Denver Nuggets. Looking for more. Long pass is out there. KCP. And he rattles it home with the dunk.
They're coming in the league and just hasn't caught on.
And nobody got it. Knox. Oh, what a block by Peyton Watson. Watson with the stuff. Brown put it away.
His confidence, he was almost a beaten guy in Utah.
Peyton Watson for 3. High Archer. Got it! And we were talking about the reliable three-point shooter.
Let's get into it. We're going to talk about the All-Star game, and we're going to go over my picks for who I think deserves to make the All-Star game this year. I try not to be biased. I try to keep it real. I went by the numbers. I go by the play and what I've seen this year, narratives, all that stuff. I try to factor it in. I try to reward the teams that are, winning games and stuff like that with, who's playing well on that team. I grew up in the era where the Detroit Pistons back in the day, and I think it was like 2004, had all 5 of their starters in the All-Star game because they were like by far the best team in the East. So, I'm a big fan of stuff like that. But without further ado, I wanted to actually go from bottom to top. We'll get to the actual starters at the end, but I wanted to start with the snub. Let's start in the West. Honorable mentions. I'm not going to put John Morant in. Memphis, I understand. He deserves it, man. He's got the numbers for it already. He's averaging 25, 8, and 5. Ja came back. He's right back where he was. The kid's incredible. if you watch my previous episodes, you already know. Like, I love that kid, but he just hasn't played enough games yet. And Memphis is one of the worst teams in the West. You're not going to see Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis is only averaging 19 a game, seven assists and 12 and basically 13 rebounds. Like, I get it, but somebody's got to get snubbed out of this. And, at the end of the day, there are just a lot of guys who deserve to be all-stars this year, I think, above him. No PG-13 on this. 23 points, 3 assists, 5 boards. The Clippers just aren't that good of a team to warrant 2 all-stars. And, Kawhi is the better player. Last one, I think this is going to be the most surprising. And like I said, I try to keep my bias out of it. But I do have a reason for this. I snubbed Anthony Davis. He's having a great year. He really is. 25 points, 3 assists, and 12 boards. Like, he's having a great year. It's one of his better years, right? The thing is, the Lakers are bad. The Lakers are bad, dude. I'm not rewarding them with 2 all-stars this year. I'm sorry. They're just not a good team. They're not even in the playoffs right now. And there are better guys right now. Like, if anybody could make it into that 13th spot, I would pick AD. I really would. But I think there's just guys who deserve it more, and contribute more to winning. I mean, the other night he had like a 29 point, like 12 rebound, like 9 assists, almost a triple double, and ended up being like a minus 13. And it's just the epitome of him not being an impact player. I don't know how else to put that. So he just doesn't impact the game enough for me. He's a great player. He really is. I just think other guys deserve it more. Let's get into the East. Paolo Banchero, great year. He is doing very, very well. 22 points, 4 assists, 7 boards. Pretty good numbers, not great numbers. But, I think he deserves a mention. Scotty Barnes, he's in the running right now for the most improved player. He's having a phenomenal year. 20 points, 5 assists, 8.9 rebounds. He's having a very good year, but just like all these other guys, they're better players to vote for right now. This might be surprising. Jimmy Butler. I love Jimmy Butler. He's one of my favorite players. I believe he's a top 10 player in the NBA, regardless if he makes an all-star team or not. So I kind of came to this epiphany about him and our guy Jamal Murray. And thanks to Chill Ducey, I believe it was him, that tweeted, that Jamal Murray has these athletic inefficiencies that could lead to, him not being able to dominate every single night, whereas like a guy who's more gifted would be able to on a more consistent basis, right? He can't rely on his athleticism to carry him in a game when he's tired or if he just doesn't have it that night, I think you could say the same about Jimmy Butler. I think he's a very well-conditioned athlete. I just don't think he's the most gifted athlete that there is in the NBA. And, he knows how to turn it on. And he can turn it on, and when he wants to, he can do it. When he's not injured, he's one of the best players in the world, similar to Jamal Murray. But right now, he's averaging 21 points, 4.5 assists, and 5 rebounds. Regular season Jimmy, I'm sorry, man. There are guys who deserve it more because they're playing their ass off through the regular season. The last one I have is LaMelo Ball. I like LaMelo. I think he could be a good player. I think he could be a good, piece on a championship team. A lot of people don't even believe that, but the kid is averaging 25 points, 8 assists, and 5 boards. He's putting up great numbers. Better guys, right? They're, especially the East guards are pretty deep. So as you can see, I got 7 guys on each bench. In the West, we got De'Aaron Fox, Stephen Curry, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Kawhi Leonard, Lauri Markkanen, and Alperen Şengün. In the East, we have Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, Damian Lillard, Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, and Bam Adebayo. The West guards, we got De'Aaron Fox, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards. These guys are having phenomenal years. It was kind of hard to leave Steph out of the starting unit, especially given his historical context. I suppose. If you factor that sort of thing in, to me, I just believe there are two guards in the West that are playing better than Steph this year. I actually was having this discussion with some people online. Stephen Curry is one of the greatest players of all time. I know I've seen some people say he's not a top 10 player ever. I believe he is. I mean, believe me, I understand there are historically insanely great people to play in the NBA. But at the end of the day, the goal of basketball is putting the ball in the hoop. And Stephen Curry is one of the greatest ever to do it. The man shoots better than anybody ever. There are things you can argue when it comes to NBA discourse. There are things you cannot argue. Stephen Curry being the greatest shooter of all time is non-arguable. You can't convince me he's not the greatest shooter ever. There have been two guards that have played better than him so far this year, and we'll get to those later. Another one I thought deserved to be on here that wasn't on the actual voting list. If you have seen that yet, here you go. So these are the votes that we've gotten so far through the first 3 months of the season. And nobody voted for Devin Booker, which is pretty crazy. I thought he would have a bigger fan base than that, but it is. But, I think he at least deserves a bench spot. He's one of the best guards in the league. Shout out to him just for taking over that point guard spot and actually being able to hold it down. That is one of the things that I kind of criticized Phoenix over. And, they're better than that. And he's better than that. Anthony Edwards getting another bench spot on the All-Star team. He's got a lot of potential. I'm actually surprised more people didn't vote for him either. I think it was Mahrez was talking about how he thought Anthony Edwards was – the way he perceived Anthony Edwards was like as a star. I just think he hasn't had a signature moment yet that like the super casual fan really knows about. He's still young, and, he'll probably get that in these playoffs this year. He's a really, really good player. I mean, even last year, right? They go against us. I can't particularly remember like too many plays off the top of my head where I'm like, oh, that was the Anthony Edwards one, like that really is like what scared the Nuggets or, anything like that. So he's got a lot of time. He'll be making the playoffs a lot in the future, and he's going to have a lot of those moments. I just think that kind of explains that. Let's go on to the forwards. Kawhi Leonard, Lauri Markkanen, and Alperen Şengün are my three votes. Kawhi is leading the Clippers to a lot of wins this year. They're doing really well. He's averaging the most points per possession in the league right now. So ISO possessions, he's just killing. Like he's killing. I think he's getting like 1.5 points per possession, which is like crazy high. And the Clippers are winning games. And a big part of it is because he's playing a lot and he's playing well. And this is honestly, he's having one of his better years. As far as efficiency, he's definitely up there. I believe it's like the best year of efficiency he's had in a long time. Lauri Markkanen, the Jazz aren't good, but Lauri is. And I think he deserves an all-star nod. He's a very good young player. And my last one, Alperen Şengün. I believe he is the second best center in the West this year. 21 points, 5 assists, and 9 rebounds. Like, the kid is playing great. He's up there for the most improved player. He's one of my favorite players in the league to watch. So let's head out east. All right. We're going to start with the guards, of course. Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, Damian Lillard. Trae Young's averaging 27 and 11. I think that kind of speaks for itself. He's leading Atlanta right now in points and assists, and he's, I believe, second in assists in the league. Donovan Mitchell, 27 points, 4 boards, 5 assists. It's Donovan Mitchell. He's one of the best guards in the league. Can't leave him out, especially he's averaging 27 points a game now. Damian Lillard, I think he deserves an all-star nod. Bit of a down year, I would say. I mean, he's still averaging 25. He's got to share the ball with Giannis. He's still a good offensive focal point for that team. But I think he is getting older, and he's quite honestly one of the worst defenders in the league. Speaking of good guards, though, speaking of another good guard, Tyrese Maxey, my personal most improved player of the year so far. 25 points, 6.6 assists, 3.6 rebounds. The kid's just incredible, man. He's putting up numbers like James Harden did last year. Better efficiency. He's a really smart player. He's really gifted. Like that's crazy. Is like you don't get a lot of guys who are like that. Like he's quick. He's got touch, and he's really smart, and he knows how to read the court well. It's like he's got a lot of tools. So I'm really excited to see where he goes. As far as the forwards, we got Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, and Bam Adebayo. So Jaylen Brown, this is what I was talking about as far as rewarding the teams that are winning. Jaylen Brown, I don't think he's a great player like some of the greats of all time or anything like that. But he is a very, very good player. He is one of the reasons that Boston is who Boston is. 22 points, 3.6 assists, 5 boards, kind of a down year, but he is one of the best forwards in the league. Julius Randle, 24 points, 4 assists, 9 rebounds. So I was kind of going back and forth between Julius Randle, I was kind of going back and forth between Julius Randle, Paolo Banchero, and Scotty Barnes for this, big forward spot. I ended up going with Randle. He's been playing really well lately. Just in case you don't ever really watch any Knicks games, he's been playing pretty well lately. He's been hitting some big shots, getting him over the hump on some big games. The OG Anunoby thing is helping a lot too, but he's come back from that really bad start to the season, and he's playing really well. And at the end of the day, he has better numbers. And truthfully, I think he's still a better player than both of those guys. But they'll be there soon, They'll be there. And, of course, Bam Adebayo. Bam is, personally, I think he might be the third best center in the league. Great defender. Oh, man. He's one of my favorite defenders in the league. Watching him play defense is actually, like, really, like, a lot of guys, like, watching somebody play defense a lot of the times is, like, sometimes it's a chore because it's, like, just stay in front of your guy. But Bam is a playmaker, too. Like, defensive playmaker. He's just really active. He's a very good defender. Let's get into the starters. On the West, we're going to go my 2 starting guards, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 2 of the best guards in the league. I think if you ask most people their honest opinion, they would tell you those are the 2 best players in the league right now. Luka averaged 33 points, 9.3 assists, 8.3 rebounds. Personally, I think he's the MVP. If I had a vote, I would probably vote for him. I think Dallas is a pretty good team, but the West is like super, super deep, right? And a pretty good team in the West would not cut it if not for Luka. That's how I rationalize it. If you had even a good guard, right? Let's even take Cade Cunningham because, you still have a lot of the same tools. They've been comped a lot. That's why Cade went number 1 basically is because, people thought he could be a Luka-esque player, right? If you put Cade on the Mavericks, they're probably one of the worst teams in the West. And not because Cade is bad. Like, Cade is averaging like 24 a game. He's a really good player. He really is. Like, he could get buckets. And he's smart, and he's long, and he's a good defender. He's a very good player. He's not Luka Doncic. You need a Luka Doncic. That's the type of value I think he brings to Dallas. SGA, the other guy, everybody thinks should be the MVP right now. He's leading OKC to, heights I didn't think they were capable of this year. I believe they're the number 2 team in the West right now. They have big wins over Boston, over Denver, all the big teams out there. 31 points, 6 boards, 6 assists. He's having a phenomenal year. And I think he deserves that starting all-star nod. Let's get into the forwards. LeBron James, Kevin Durant. LeBron James is averaging 25.7 assists, 7 boards. LeBron James is so slept on. People want him to be bad, so bad already. And the thing is, he is not bad. The dude is 40 years old, and he's still arguably the best forward in the West. Like, come on, man. I mean, He is the same argument that I made for Luka, you can make for LeBron. If LeBron was not on the Lakers and you put someone in there of, similar game, similar stature, whatever, I mean, it's not LeBron. It's LeBron James. Kevin Durant, he's having a great year scoring the ball, like always. 29.9 points, 6 assists, 6.3 rebounds. He held it down for Phoenix for a very long time while Devin Booker and Bradley Beal were out. They just started playing all together. So, I expect the scoring to probably go down a little bit. But he's carried them to the spot that they're in right now. So, I think he deserves that starting nod. He's still arguably the best forward in the West, at least. And he's still arguably one of the best players in the world. So he deserves it. And I'm assuming you guessed who my starting center is for the West. It is no other than Karl Anthony Towns. No, I'm sorry. It's Nikola Jokic. 26 points, 9 assists, 12 boards. Just the greatest player of all time. In the East, my starting guards. We got Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson. Tyrese Halliburton, I believe, deserves less explanation than Jalen Brunson, so I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the way. 24 points, 12.7 assists, 4.3 rebounds. He's the best guard in the East right now. I mean, argue with a wall. He is. Indiana is good because of him. They're definitely not good because of Miles Turner or Jalen Smith. Tyrese Halliburton's the man. He deserves that starting spot. Jalen Brunson, I debated him and Donovan Mitchell for this 2 spot. I put Jalen just because New York does have a better record. Jalen is putting up arguably similar numbers. I believe it's like 1 point less, but it's, 1 or 2 more assists a game. He's and he's a winning player, man. I love Jalen Brunson. And at the end of the day, this is my all-star picks. So Jalen Brunson, I mean, it's right there. Like it's very close. If you had Donovan Mitchell starting, I would not be mad. If you had or if you had Trae Young starting, I wouldn't be mad at all. But I just believe Jalen Brunson, he's a lot better than I thought he was. And he's one of my favorite players now. Out of anybody whose stock has been like low to me to like high, like Jalen Brunson might, like him and Paolo Banchero might have like the biggest rising stocks to me out of anybody, since I've been doing this. All right, now the forwards. We got Jason Tatum. Boston Celtics are the number 1 team in the East. He's one of the top 10 players in the league right now. Can't argue that. 27 points, 8 boards a game, almost 9 boards a game. He's one of the best players in the world. And, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo, arguably the second best player in the world. Maybe a hot take, he's not my second best player in the world. I was just speaking about how Paolo and Brunson's stock has risen so much since I've, been doing this and like taking games seriously and watching NBA, like nonstop. Giannis's stock has dropped a bit for me. The gap between him and Nikola Jokic is pretty significant to me now. Just saying. I mean, he's a great player. Great player. Top 5 player. Top 5. Definitely top 5. Possibly top 3. Possibly. 31.6 points, 5.6 assists, 11.5 boards. And, of course, gotta be fair. The best center in the East. The second best center in the league. There's no shame in that. Joel Embiid, 34.6 points a game. He's leading the league in scoring. The man's phenomenal scorer. One of the best scorers ever. Can't argue with that, man. He's a great player. He really is. He's elite. He is a top 5 player in the league. 6 assists. He's passing the ball really well this year. Nick Nurse has really vamped that offense up to help him a lot. And, 12 boards a game. One of the best players in the world. So there you go. There is my all-star selections. I love to see what you guys think. If you guys do your all-star voting and you want to put it on Twitter or whatever, hit me up. Like, I would love to see him. You want to tag me in it, or you want to, maybe I'll make a post and you guys could all just throw in your all-star ballots under the comments for me or something. Because I want to see what you guys thought. I want to, let's get into some discussions. I feel like I tried to be very objective with these lists, and obviously it seems like I've I have some bias leaving out Anthony Davis or, stuff like that. But like, I objectively believe what I'm saying. If you guys think otherwise, let's have a discussion. Of course, keep it civil. I mean, I know Twitter is not the best place for that, but that's why I love my Twitter so much, because my people on there are all so like, everybody on there is so cool, man. Like, I really do have the best timeline. So, if you guys see that, so if you guys want to, please hit me up with your all-star votes. I would love to see them. I really need like a little ad break right here, because it's kind of awkward to go switching in between like that topic to going into my weekly previews, but it is what it is. If you guys want to, I would love a sponsorship right there. That'd be really cool. I got some people in mind too who I buy products from, have kind of a cool relationship with. So I would love to work with some people here. But with that said, let's get into the weekly preview. Wednesday, January 10th, we go to Utah to play the Jazz. We're getting a nice long break after this constant barrage of back-to-backs from the NBA. But going from playing on Sunday all the way till Wednesday is a nice little break. Nikola Jokic in his history against the Jazz has scored 18 points, 10 boards, 7 assists in 29 games. Lauri Markkanen has averaged 20 points, 7 boards, and 2 assists in his 8 games versus the Nuggets in his career. The Jazz have gone 10-4 over their last 14 games. They've gotten big wins over the Knicks, the Heat, the Mavericks, and the 76ers. They started off the season 7-16 and are now 17-20. So they're starting to make a big run here. Utah is 17th in scoring. They're averaging 114 points per game. Lauri is averaging 23. What's even more interesting is that they're 7th in the league right now in fourth quarter scoring, whereas through quarters 1 through 3, they're mid to late 20s. So if Denver's not careful, these guys will come back on you. They're also a great second chance team. Denver is one of the best teams at not allowing second chance points, but Utah is one of the best teams in the league at second chance points. So that's going to be a battle on the boards right there. I always think back, even though he doesn't play for them anymore, but I always think back to the first game of the year last year when we had to open against Utah, and Jared Vanderbilt just like tore our ass up on the boards and just got like a million second chance points and just killed us. Yeah, I don't let that happen again, Nugget. I also wanted to give a big shout out to the Jazz for figuring out how they were going to get the ball moving without a point guard. So that was a big concern for a lot of people, not just myself. At the beginning of the season, how was the Jazz going to be a good team without, an actual like lead guard? And they're actually 7th in the league in assists per game. And then a quote I read on Sports Illustrated, but Sports Illustrated quotes Bleacher Report, so I don't know how that works. Spearheaded by Danny Ainge, Utah has announced Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, John Collins are all on the trade block. Jordan Clarkson is joining that list, despite their recent success. I've seen a couple people saying that the Nuggets try to get Jordan Clarkson. First of all, I don't think it's possible. And second of all, I don't get the fit. But, I'm sure they're all going to end up on pretty good teams. As a Denver fan, keep an eye out for that, because that could change. Some of those guys could change the dynamic of the West, especially Lauri Markkanen, who I've seen rumored to the Oklahoma City Thunder a bunch of times. If that happens, we should be a little worried. A little more worried than we are right now. But not too much. Just a smidge. Maybe more than a smidge. Lauri Markkanen's good. January 12th versus the New Orleans Pelicans. We are playing in Denver. Jokic has averaged 22 points, 10 boards, and 7 assists in his 28 games versus New Orleans in his career. Zion Williamson has averaged 25 points, 6 boards, 3 assists in his 7 games versus the Nuggets in his career, including a 35-point game from a couple years ago that I remember very well, just because I totally sold all my stock on Zion Williamson and was like, this guy is trash, and then he whooped our ass. Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, the New Orleans Pelicans come to Denver. One of my favorite rosters in the league, right? They got CJ McCollum, Larry Nance, Jose Alvarado, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, plethora of people that I like. Zion has been dealing with a quad injury, but he should be back by our game on Friday. The Pelicans are also coming in after winning 10 games out of their last 14, with impressive wins over Minnesota twice, the Lakers, and the Kings on Sunday without Zion. New Orleans is also a top 10 team in net rating. Personally, I feel if Zion and Brandon Ingram can be the leaders on this team that they need, this team could be dangerous. They have great defenders. They have a lot of versatile offensive options. On paper, they have everything you need to be one of the best teams in the West. Just look at their start to last season, right? They were number one in the West for a good while until the Nuggets took control of it and didn't let it go. And but a big part of that too was injuries to the Pelicans at the time. So as long as these guys can stay healthy, which is a big if, can they, get that experience in the playoffs and, come with, just get some age and experience under their belt, grow up a little bit and help taking control of this team. And last but not least, for next week, Sunday, January 14th, we are at home versus the Indiana Pacers. Nikola Jokic has averaged 25 points, 9 boards, 5 assists in his 13 games versus the Pacers in his career. Tyrese Halliburton has averaged 16 points, 7 assists, and 3.2 rebounds in his 6 games versus Nuggets in his career. A lot of those games being when he was with Sacramento and he was, coming off the bench and stuff like that. The Indiana Pacers have been the darlings of the NBA until recently. They made it to the in-season tournament final against the Lakers and lost. And ever since then, they had pretty bad. They ended up, I think they went on a losing streak or they lost quite a bit of games after that. Since then, they had a 4-game winning streak recently to get them back up the rankings in the East. They come into this game with the league's best offense and one of the worst defenses. They're headlined by point guard Tyrese Halliburton, of course. Also, shout out to Bruce Brown. Just wanted to get that out. Should be receiving his championship ring before the game. So that's going to be cool. If you get a chance, make sure you go and watch the game a little early so you can see Bruce get his ring. Indiana just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. They kind of remind me of the Steve Nash 7-second offense with how fast they get into their sets. You know how Jokic kind of, he always tries to rush the ref or like just get the ball and like inbound immediately. They do that all the time. And then they get it to Tyrese, who unlike Jamal, because Jamal likes to like be methodical and stuff. Tyrese runs that bitch up there. Like he runs it. He just gets it to the other side of the court and they start their plays immediately. They're averaging 126 points per game. They've already tallied 8 games this season, 8, where they have scored 140 plus. Like that is wild. We're at the very beginning of January. Like the season, a lot of people don't even consider the season really starting until Christmas, and they already have 8 games where they've scored 140 points. This will be a game of stops. Expect KCP to take on the Halliburton assignment because he's the engine of that team, and he gets that offense going. He and I believe CB has a good chance at him when KCP is taking a rest. But if they can keep Halliburton contained, make him uncomfortable, get a hand in his face consistently, it's hard to stop the playmaking, but at least maybe you can slow down the scoring from him. Maybe you can keep him from catching a rhythm. But that should be enough for Denver to outscore the Pacers. And we're at home, so we'll have the energy. We'll have the crowd. Should be able to pull that one out. So at the end of the day, I think we could very easily go 3-0 in this next week. Realistically, we'll probably go like 2-1 because these are kind of all trap games, which is kind of weird. The Pelicans always play us really well. I highly advise you go watch that game. Those are just always classics. That's some of my favorite matchups. Jokic just always has like these insane games up against the Pelicans for some reason, just because it's always needed, right? The Jazz is pretty much the same thing. They play us really tough all the time. I talked about the game when, Jared Vanderbilt killed us on the boards and stuff and they ended up beating us. That was when they were pretty much at their worst, right? Like they had just traded Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. All these guys are brand new pieces and they still went in and kicked our ass full health. So those are always really good games. And then the Pacers as well. Like, the Pacers are a really good team. If we can't slow down Tyrese Halliburton, they'll probably beat us. So, all three of these could be trap games. I think we can win all three of them, though. It just depends on how focused they are this week. With that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope you guys had a beautiful holidays and are settling into your jobs again, and everybody's doing well. And you guys are all enjoying all the cool new gadgets and gifts and everything that you guys got, and your little ones are enjoying all theirs. And let's be real, the kids probably already, put it in their little toy chest or, all that stuff, because that's how kids do. But I hope you guys have a good one. Talking BS, we out.